Hi Pisces, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and Pisces, this is going to be a general reading for you. There's no date on my reading because I trust that when it comes into your feed, it's for you. If you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you. It's a fairly young channel. I think it's just a couple years old. So I'm still finding that people are just finding me, and so I'm thinking that most of my viewers, which is I think is common for a lot of young channels, a lot of my viewers are not subscribing, and so I would really encourage you to subscribe if you're new to my channel. It just helps get my videos out more if you subscribe. Has that all to do with the algorithm, I know. It would just help me out and it would support me a lot. And because this is a healing channel, so I really want my videos to get out to people so I can help them. All right, so we're going to be doing your blind spot today. And we're going to be looking at something that you're not aware of. And to start us off with, I'm going to, well, I already pulled a card for you from the Blind Spot Oracle cards from Teal Swan. Some of you may be familiar with Teal and her work. She's online, and I was drawn to these cards earlier on. I think this was the first Oracle deck I purchased for this channel because I wanted, this is a channel about shadow work. It's a channel about your healing journey, and I was looking for something that had to do with shadow work, and I know Teal is all about shadow work. So the card I picked for you was number 20. Now, you're going to notice that these cards have these really weird designs on them. And I read a bit about what Teal said about these cards. And so what she has here are these sigils, and she's downloaded them from a source. And she said they're not symbols, but they're actually have this magical power to them. And so it's more of the essence of them. They have some kind of a power. And I mean, I like to think of it as a theme, sort of, but it's not even a theme. It's really here to pull out the blind spot that we need to look at. And so they're very unique. The topics that I pull out are so different, and I never know what I'm going to pull. And so for you, I've pulled you don't know, but you think you know. You don't know, but you think you know. So that's very interesting. And we're going to look at, in a minute, I'll tell you what how I'm going to use the tarot with this. So let me read. I just picked out a few things from her description. Her descriptions are usually quite long. So that's why I've pulled this beforehand, so I can pull out a bit of information here for you. If you have drawn this sigil, you think you know everything in a circumstance, but actually you do not know everything, and a critical piece of information is missing. If you've drawn this sigil, you are in a state of closed-mindedness. You are not aware of a vital piece of information, but you're telling yourself and acting as if you know it all. So if you've drawn this sigil, you need to be brave enough to face what you're trying to avoid by knowing. Open your mind. Operate with the intention of understanding everything. Let curiosity be your mental set point. Knowing that a critical piece of understanding which you do not have right now will come to you at any time and from anywhere, even potentially the most unlikely of sources. Now, I tell every sign that when I present this card to you is that you need to be aware of what you hear when I read this. Like for me, it came across quite strong and it's saying, you know, you think you know this and you don't. And, you know, what did you say in your mind? What did you hear in your mind when I read that? Because sometimes our ego can kick in and go like, what are they talking about? Who does she think she is that she's saying this to you, right? Because obviously this is a blind spot and you're being blocked somehow from this information. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tarot and I'm going to look at what situation, issue, or decision you're sitting in right now that, you know, and you're going to know once I say it. And there's going to be some healing that's needed around that. And I think part of the healing for you is going to come in when you get this piece of information that you're missing. And so I'm gonna present a situation for you. I'm going to dig into your shadow and find out, okay, what situation's coming up for you right now? Why are you dealing with this situation right now? Because we have to look at what's in your shadow, because our shadow is our unconscious. And whenever there's something coming up for healing from our shadow, it's going to drive certain situations or patterns or issues, problems that we're sitting in right now, because, you know, our outside world is a reflection of what's going on and coming up from our shadow to heal. And then finally, I'm going to ask the tarot for some guidance for you to see how you can begin to heal this. And I'll also suggest for you a video or a playlist from my other channel called Carol Cares. And that's a channel that has some videos on there that from now and then I'll put some videos on there just to help you with your own mental health. And there's a number of videos that are already on there. So today I think I'm going to start off with the Ehrenberg Tarot to pull 3 cards from that, and then I will clarify using the Rider-Waite, the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. So let's begin right now asking the tarot, what situation, issue, or decision right now are you sitting with that you're facing right now? And, you know, and remember that there's something that you think you know, but you don't know. And that's what we kind of got to keep in our minds as we go through this reading. So what situation is Pisces sitting in right now? Whether it's an issue, a decision, a pattern that they're facing. One card for that, please. Try that again. One card for Pisces for the situation. There we go. Finally, that one turned around, but I'm going to pick this one. You have Justice. Interesting card to start off with for your first card for your situation. What's coming up from your shadow that needs healing? That is directing or having the most impact on the situation that Pisces sitting with right now. And of course, living with it. All right, what card do we have here? Oh, we have 2 of them, and that one came up first. So you have the 6 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles is in reverse. And so those are 2 cards from your shadow. And my cat has just come into the room with a toy, wanting some attention, just as I sat down to do these readings. What guidance does the tarot have for you right now, Pisces? What guidance does the tarot have for you right now? One card for Pisces for guidance. I'm going to pick that one. Right. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. All right. If I knew that he likes to jump up on this table, but I don't know if he'll... I'm so afraid he's going to knock my camera over. Well, he's... Come here. All right, we'll see what happens if he jumps up here. There he is. Okay. His name's Lirio. But you see, I don't think he's still a kitten. He's just like about 8 months old, I think. So I might have to put him down. But we'll say hi to everybody. Say hi to Pisces out there. I'm going to put him down. Okay, go down. He's not trained yet that he can come up, and I see some tarot readers with their cats and they lay all over the table and everything's great, but he's a kitten, so he's not into that. All right, can we have some clarifiers with Justice card? A couple cards. Okay, this should come out a lot faster. These cards like to come out faster. So you have the Queen of Wands and the Chariot card in reverse. Behind the Justice. How about the Six of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles? Maybe one or two cards for that. Sun card in reverse. Five of Pentacles in reverse. A couple cards for that. There's one. Page of Pentacles in reverse and the Seven of Wands in reverse. Okay, so I'm interested to know what it is that you think you know, but you don't know. You don't know, but you think you know is what saying is. You don't know, but you think you know. So let's look at the situation, Pisces, you're sitting in that is focuses around that blind spot. So first card I get is the Justice card here. And I mean, you see how this individual, it's interesting that this particular deck, and this is the Ehrenberg Tarot, and it takes a snapshot of the Rider-Waite deck. And I liked how they focused on the person's face in the picture. And the Justice card is really like usually has a scale on one hand, and the figure has a sword in the other hand, right? In this case, they've put a gavel in this person's hand, and they have a blindfold on. So it's almost like, you know, this person can't see something, and we're dealing with that issue right now, that the whole issue of something that's unseen for you right now, and you think you know. And a lot of times when we can get up in our heads about something, I think of the ego, and the ego can really kick in and think that it's right? Think that it's right. And if we think that we're right and we're missing a piece of the information, oftentimes that can lead us into doing things that we can regret later on, right? And then we find out afterwards that, well, that wasn't the situation. You didn't know that this was the situation, right? There was something else going on. And so here you are in a position right now where you're wanting to get to the bottom of something, or maybe you're wanting justice. You're fighting for your truth. Sometimes it's fighting for your authenticity, but there's something here that you're definitely fighting for, and really thinking that you're right, and really thinking that you know. And so you're going after, you know, I want to get some justice around this situation. And you know, we all have a right to that. We all have a right to find the truth out about something, right? But again, like I said, sometimes we can get so blindsided with thinking, I know the truth, or I know what happened, and this is, you know, sometimes we can say, well, this is the revenge I want to go and get, or this is, you know, and so this is a situation you're sitting in where there's some truth here that you're seeking. Right behind it is the Queen of Wands, and the Queen is the feminine side to us, and in particular she has these beautiful feminine qualities that have been really repressed in all of us for a long time. Has nothing to do with gender. We all have these beautiful qualities, and she has the wand, and the wand is all about taking action. Wands are about going towards your purpose. Wands are very creative, right? But what we have to really remember is wands is a suit that wants to take action. And so that part of you, that quality in you, which, you know, is really a good quality where you want to take action. You want to move forward. You want to move forward to something and get to the bottom of this and the truth. But you know, like there's a blind spot here for you, right? And the Chariot card comes in, and this is very important. Very, very important, because we're talking about, you know, it sounds like you want to take action about something that you think you know, and you're feeling right about this. You're feeling this is where I want to go. But the Chariot card comes in reverse, and the fact that it's in reverse is very, very important, because let's look at what the Chariot card signifies. The Chariot card signifies movement. Like there's definitely some movement here that's needed. And a lot of tarot readers will see this as physical movement, right? You know, it's time to move. Let's go. It's not, but well, it's like, whoa, the Chariot here, for me, the fact that it's in reverse, it's like, okay, let's hold up here. Let's slow things down a little bit, because let's take a look at this Chariot card. This charioteer has these two sphinxes, right? And he's been trying for so long to control these sphinxes. He's trying to get them to move. But if you look carefully, they're not moving. They're made of cement. They have a mind of their own. And so this charioteer has been waiting so long and trying to control the situation that he himself is turning into cement now, right? Because it's been going on for so long. And so you have been trying to control a certain relationship, a certain situation that you're in, because you think that's what you're supposed to do, maybe, or that's what you think needs to be done, right? That whole thing about you think you know, but you don't. You think you know that this is the right way to go. And so the Chariot reminds us that, you know what? You can only do this for so long. You can only try to control the situation for so long by your mind, what you think you know, because you've hit a brick wall, finally. And it's like, this isn't working for you anymore. The Chariot says, you know, you can use your mind as much as you want, but there's going to come a time where trying to control the situation you'll run into the brick wall, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? And I think that's where you are right now. You're like, you've been trying for so long to control this, believing a certain thing. And, you know, if we want to look at it as a relationship, well, you could be in a relationship, and it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. It could be a colleague at work. It could be an intimate partner. It could be with a friend. And you've been trying to control this all along and thinking, because this is what I know. This is what I know about this person, right? Or this is what I know about the relationship. But there's something maybe you don't know. There's a missing piece here. And now the Chariot says, okay, you've been controlling this with your mind for so long. It's time now that you go inwards. It's like you need different direction. And it can't come from here anymore. It has to come from the heart. It has to come from your inner self. Like, what is it maybe that you don't know? Why have you been trying to control this situation for so long with your mind? And you've hit that brick wall, like I said. And there's a huge resistance on your part. And that's why this is in reverse. And maybe there's a huge fear. Maybe there's a huge fear in you. If, you know, what if I do go inwards? What if I stop trying to control this? Because I think that one line in there said something about you are in a state of closed-mindedness. Well, you know, I think of this Chariot that's turning to cement because his mind is so closed, right? He's been trying the same thing over and over and over again to get these sphinxes to go in a certain direction, but they're not going to move. They're stone. And so maybe what he can't see is that they're made of stone, right? He refuses to see that. I think you see my point. And so, you know, now it's time for you to go inwards and get out of our minds, because that's where our ego wants us to stay, right? There's some real healing that needs to be done around why you keep trying to control this? Why maybe you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and you're getting the same result. So why is that? Like what's behind that? And in order to figure out what's behind that, we need to go and look at our shadow, because our shadow is all those things that happened to us when we were younger, and all those things that happened to us when we were an adolescent, and we put them away, we shoved them down, all our trauma, our memories, everything that hurt us, things that were said, and we got to look at that stuff and we got to heal it. You know, why can't I see this? Why am I so stubborn about this? Why am I trying to control this situation? Why can't I let this go? Why can't I be more open to it and recognize that, you know, I can't control what's happening here? And so in your shadow, you start off with two main cards that I pulled out from the first deck that I used. And you have the Six of Swords, which starts off with, and I think this is a really important card. The Six of Swords talks about this woman that's with this child, and they're being led to, they have a figure, call him the gondolier man, but he's bringing them across the water and on a boat to a safer place. And because this is in my shadow, like I said, it talks about your childhood, your adolescence. I call this card my safety card. When you were younger, you weren't in a safe place. So you didn't have that fear, you didn't have that feeling of being secure. You didn't have that feeling of, you know, being secure enough to feel your emotions. There was some kind of support that you lacked when you were younger. You just didn't feel safe to be you, and maybe to take chances, to take risks. Right behind it, you have the Eight of Pentacles. And very interesting, because it's right underneath the Queen of the Wands. The Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands we talked about was that feminine part of us that will go towards our purpose and to take action, right? And to do something. Well, it's interesting that you get the Eight of Pentacles right underneath in reverse. And it's in your shadow. So Eight of Pentacles normally talks about passion in the workplace, right? And I like to look at, because it's in your shadow, I see this as, first of all, being passionate about something. The Eight of Pentacles is very passionate about something, but it's in reverse, because I think that because you didn't feel safe or supported or maybe validated when you were younger about maybe taking risks, doing new things, going out on your own, you know, doing things for yourself, you didn't have the passion. It's in reverse. There was a real fear on your part. It was like it was squashed, right? Why have passion as a kid? Why want something? Why believe in yourself when no one else around you was? And not only was the passion taken away from you, but so was the Sun card. That's in reverse. And the Sun speaks about pure joy. So and I'm thinking of, think of a child when they're so young and how they run around. They're balls of energy. They're balls of joy. And until they start realizing that maybe the world isn't a safe place for them, or there's not supportive people around them. And so what happens is they just go into that shell and they get very frightened and very scared, and they create this safe environment for yourself. And so sometimes, you know, if I go back to the top line and how you're trying to get justice here, and I think you're just trying to figure out this relationship and what's going on, and you kind of can't see out from the blindfold, right? There's a part of you that maybe knows there's something here you need to see, but I think there's a big fear on your part to taking the blindfold off so that you can see it, right? So that you can bring justice to whatever is going on, really, in a relationship you're in the situation you're in. There's this thought that just came in, and it's like a lot of times if we're in a certain relationship, and we can be in a relationship for a long time, and like I said, it could be any type of a relationship where we're actually being controlled, and we can convince ourselves that we're being protected. or we are really, this is a loving relationship, when it's not even any of that. Because if we didn't have that protection when we were younger, when you didn't feel safe when you were younger, we can create a same scenario when we get older with relationships around us, thinking that we are safe, and we're not. And so maybe there's something here around that you need to look at. That's like, are you really safe? Are you really safe where you are right now in the relationship that you're in? Any relationships that you're in, you know? It's a general reading. And so what guidance does the tarot have for you right now? Well, Pisces, I see here that you have the Five of Pentacles in reverse as the first card here. And, you know, this is a really good depiction of the Rider-Waite, how it's really shown their feet. Take a look at their feet. Take a look at the feet of this individual, and I think it's not always highlighted in you know, this card, but this individual is missing. First of all, I mean, look at the individual's foot. There's something that's happened to their foot. Maybe they were born like that when they were younger, and they're also missing a shoe on that foot, and so they're very they're in need. They're in need. This person is in need of help, and yet it's walked by this place of worship in the background because it didn't even take a look at it, didn't even consider any help, because it just kind of doesn't have that. This person doesn't have a sense of self-worth, doesn't feel worthy enough to ask somebody for help. And this is a card in reverse for you. So this card really speaks of a card of unworthiness. And I think this card is in reverse because the universe is saying you need to look at how you were in a situation when you were younger when you felt unworthy. Because you needed safety and you didn't feel secure. You didn't have passion. You didn't have joy in your life. And that would just take away your entire, you know, erase who you were. And so you don't feel unworthy, Pisces. And you need to look at this. And this is what the universe wants to focus on. Now, oftentimes when we get into that unworthiness and we're talking about that and how we feel, well, there's a lot of shame. The emotion of shame comes up for me when, you know, there's a lot of shame of who you are, and because of where you came from. And you have the Page of Pentacles coming up next. And the Page of Pentacles is an inner child. And this particular inner child is in reverse because it's being ignored. And I think there's a real fear on your part to even look at and consider that younger part of you that needed to feel secure in their body. The pentacle is about their body. This little page, this inner child of yours, you know, they're I think when we're 4, 5, 6 years old, and that's how old our pages are, we were in our body. We knew who we were. But like I said, it comes a time when we start to find out if we matter, how much we matter, who we matter to, you know, if you feel safe around people, if you feel safe to be you, free to be you. And so there's this little part of you that really needs healing. Our inner children are like these parts of us that are pulling out our pant leg and saying, listen, you need to feel the unworthiness that I felt when I was younger, when I was not in a safe place. It's up to you now to feel my shame that I hold, because I was too young. I was too young to feel that big emotion of shame that was given to me from people, right? Shame is not an emotion that we're born with. It's something that's given to us by people that have a heck of a lot of shame themselves. And the final card is the Seven of Wands for you. And it's in reverse, but in an upright position. The Seven of Wands speaks about, this is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. It speaks about that individual. Look at his, and we're talking about feet here again. It seems to be a little bit of a theme here, but look at his feet. He has two different shoes on his feet, and they're different kinds, and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. He's out there and he's fighting for himself. These other people below him aren't fighting. They're fighting. They're not supporting him. They're not validating him. And I see this as you, Pisces, where it's time for you to step out. I know there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of resistance on your part, but it's time for you to step out now, right? You've been wanting justice. You've been wanting to get to some sort of truth that you haven't been able to see. But it's up to you now to step out. There are some things, some people that maybe are bringing you down. And when you do step out, when you do say, you know what, I want some clarity. I want some truth here. There's something that I need to see. I want to heal. It's time for me to heal whatever it is that, I've this blind spot of mine and what's really going on. What situation am I in now? I need to know what this blind spot is, right? What I think I know, I don't know. And you're going to find that not everybody's going to support you, but it's time for you to step out now and walk into your truth, right? And this is a very powerful reading for you, Pisces. I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, the healing journey. And a lot of times we do have to step out on our own and figure out, okay, what's going on here, right? Take that blindfold off and figure out, what is it that I think I know, but I don't really know. I'm going to leave you with a playlist on shame. I have a few videos in there that explain what it is and how we get it and how we can heal from shame. And so take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.